to me, the best pick in the draft for the Steelers, just because of the value of where we got him, and the value, the best pick in the draft was our fifth rounder, Yahya Black. And I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I heard a bunch of different, I'm going to say Yahya until somebody tells me differently. But
That's what
either
I
way,
said.
Yahya Black, I think, was the steal of the draft. He was our best pick. Big, stout against the run, plays nose tackle. We've been screaming that the Steelers needed a nose tackle. Well, here we got one. Dag nabbit. We got one. Somebody that can plays nose tackle, eats double teams like crazy. Look, Iowa had an outstanding run defense. They've had one forever. It was really, really good the last 2 years. Why? Because this man in the middle just said, you're not getting to our linebackers. I'm not going to let your guard ship off to our linebackers. Because if you try to leave, I'm going to be there to make the play because you can't single block me and you can't move me with your double team. You're just not going to be able to do it. I love the pick. I thought he was good. I just thought where they got him value, Jason, is incredible as a fifth-round pick here as a nose tackle.
Oh, yeah. Just simply look at what the Steelers did with a guy like this, 7-foot wingspan, 6'6", 340 almost. I mean, just huge. Muddying up them interior lanes, just making things difficult, making you have to work for it, protecting those linebackers. But what all this does is protects that back end of the Steelers defense a little bit. Let them fly around and make plays. You don't have to load the box up when you got players like this. You can still play the run and not have to be crazy numbers inside. So, again, like you said, this guy can split the double team, muddy things up, and that's what the Steelers are looking for. A guy that can tackle, stop the run, and make things difficult, simply. So, sometimes maybe he lacks a little balance and things like that. But overall, I agree with you. This is probably one of the best picks in this entire draft, and the Steelers needed this size.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, B and Jason, man, I'm going to tell y'all something. And I'm going to catch flack for this. But I went back and started watching this film from 2 years ago when he had Campbell, the kid that played linebacker for the Detroit Lions, and he was trying to protect and keep guys off of him. Right. And I watched him paired up next to Logan Lee, who's on our current roster, who didn't get on the field last year and get a helmet for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm telling you what I see is Stephen Tuitt. I'm telling you what I see. I'm like, this kid, and he's bigger than Tuitt. He's freaking huge. And B, you talk about a guy that can go all up and down the line. He can play the zero technique on the nose. You can tilt him at an angle and say, look, I'm taking two. The guard in the center's got to block me. If not, I'm going to kill the quarterback. Or you can listen in certain down and distance things, you can put him outside because he's going to get there. He's freaking huge. And or the quarterback better be to throw it over the top of him. Because like he said, with a 7-foot wingspan, that's like Shaquille out there playing defensive end. You're not going to throw the ball over the top of this kid. You better put some wind on it. So I listen, for value, there's no way that we could have got a better pick in the 5th round for him. I was mad because I wanted certain guys. I was partial to like Farmer from Florida State. I was partial to Robinson. I saw those guys go off the board, and I was like, who has the Steelers been looking at this whole time? Oh, I forgot that they snuck back out to Iowa looking at Caleb Johnson. And when they saw Black, and then they seen him down at the Senior Bowl, oh, he was uncheckable at the Senior Bowl. Go look at the tape. He was uncheckable. He destroyed every offensive line that was down there. Everybody he lined up against, there was an offensive lineman in the Senior Bowl, in the practices, and all whatever else. He destroyed them. So yeah, run Black to the table. And the kid's going to get a lot of playing time. I love our rotation on the defensive line, man. Our rotation is finally better. It's actually serviceable to say that we're not going to get blown out by teams by them just holding on to the ball and running at us. They're going to come up off the field because this kid's going to make some tackles, and he's going to put a hurting on some dudes. So, and B, you know how I feel about big boy Derrick Henry. Big boy Derrick Henry, get ready to meet big boy Black in the hole, bro, and it's going to get ugly over there. So, yeah, let's go. Let's go with Black, man. I love this pick for the Steelers, man.
He
Yeah,
had the one of my favorite plays where I can't remember who it was against, like Nebraska or Wisconsin or somebody like that, where he just shot himself like a missile and blew everybody up, sacked the quarterback, and it just showed the power and just how much he can do. It was just an amazing play.
yeah, I think he could be a difference maker. While I think he can play up and down the line, I think they're going to concentrate and just keep him on the nose here, which they should. They should. That's
Right.
what we've been needing. Let's do that. We got a good question here from Danny Littlejohn with the super chat. Big G. Well, I mean, I'll ask you, but fellas, are you surprised that no O-line was taken yesterday?
Yeah.
Big G, I'm real surprised. Big G and Jason, I'm super surprised. I thought somewhere along the line the Steelers would take an offensive lineman because you know my philosophy. You never stopped investing in the offensive line. A tackle, a guard, a center, whatever. And they didn't do that. And that surprised me a little bit. And I know they've signed a couple of free agents here and there, but I just at some point I just thought, man, the Steelers are going to take a tackle. Another thing that comes to mind is, we talk offense a lot. The Steelers only took two offensive players in the draft. Now, one thing I will say is we had a second round pick. It was DK Metcalf.
Facts.
So people can't forget that is what our second round pick was. It was DK Metcalf. That's big time. But Big G, what do you think about the Steelers not taking an O-lineman?
I think that the guys that they wanted from the offensive line from a third and fourth round standpoint were taken early. I mean, Fairchild from Georgia, I know the Steelers was looking at him tough, and he went. And then Vincent, the kid that they thought that they'd beat a steal in the 6th or 7th round from Alabama A&M, whose RAS score was off the hook. That kid ended up going in the 3rd or 4th round because he had a run at offensive tackles. And remember, I told you 3 tackles was going in the first 10, but there was 9 offensive linemen, by the way, which is an NFL record, taken in the first round of this draft. So the priority went high as far as what the Steelers were looking at from position. And when Fairchild came off the board, the offensive tackle from Alabama A&M came off the board, the Steelers was like, nah, the value's just not there. So I understand it. I get it. But I still wish that they would have took an opportunity. I was impartial. I wanted one of those 7th-round picks to be Seth McCollum, the swing center guard for Ohio State. I thought he was great at Alabama and Ohio State, but they didn't take him. So I get it. But we're just going to have to either continue to build in free agency or let the kids that we currently have develop. Fautano did not play last year, ladies and gentlemen. So he's literally like a first-round draft pick. So let's see what Fautano, McCormick, Siamalu, Frazier. Let's get Jones in his right position, and let's see what we got from there.
Yeah. I think they're putting a lot of faith into what they currently have, and rightfully they should. They're high-value draft picks, man. So I would have loved to seen some depth added there, no doubt about it. Maybe instead of the Jack Sawyer pick, maybe they add a lineman there. But again, I'm a little bit shocked. But they have heavily invested in the last 2 drafts. But you always go there. You always go offensive lineman, at least somewhere. But I was a little shocked. Again, that's a place you always go. Defensive trenches, offensive trenches. So we'll see what happens. But we are now in the part of the year to where maybe you find a veteran somewhere to add some depth. Maybe that's something they do. But we'll have to see. And again, a lot of faith in this young group that they have in place.
Gotcha. Super chat coming in here by Throat Puncher. Says, salutes, brothers. Tell me what it could look like with amazing Mason Rudolph as the starter. How do you guys think it will flow? Mason ain't bad at all. I mean, I've said it since we signed him back. If Mason Rudolph happens to be the Steelers starter, I think they can win 9 or 10 games. Doesn't mean they will, but I think that's the potential. I think that's the ceiling, 9, 10 wins for the Steelers. I think they've done some moves. If the line just plays average, like I said before, if the line plays average, I think the Steelers are going to have an okay season. And give him some time when he needs time. I think they'll be fine. But if the line doesn't play good and it doesn't gel and guys just aren't good, we could be in for something. So, but Mason Rudolph, like I said, he's not great. I don't think he wins us a playoff game. it doesn't get us to the Super Bowl. Doesn't mean that can't happen. But
Mhm.
for me, I think it's fine. I think what Mason Rudolph would bring to the table will be 9 or 10 wins. What do you think, Jason?
I think he can win. I think he can win 10 games too, just like you. Maybe a playoff game, probably not a Super Bowl, but I think it's dependent on a lot of things. How does
Mm-hmm.
that run game work? How does that O line go? How does this scheme fit Mason, especially with the new weapon in DK Metcalf? Are we able to utilize the middle of the field? I just think there's a ton of variables at play there. But overall, Mason's solid. I think he can get it done. He's not elite, but he's good. He's all right. I think he gets you to 2026, and maybe you find somebody better. But
Mhm.
overall, I still don't think he'll be the starter. I think Aaron Rodgers will be there, but
Right.
I don't think it would be a bad thing to go with Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think, Big G?
I agree 100%. I mean, the issue is that Mason's a serviceable backup as far as NFL is concerned. But the issue is, listen to what Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin said prior to the draft. We will have 4 quarterbacks. We have
Right.
3. They're waiting on 12. Will 12 help us more than Mason Rudolph? Absolutely. So, and I know he's older, and I know he's a diva, and I know all the different things that people say about 12. But 12 gives us a better opportunity to win than Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph can win 9, 10. 12 might be able to win 11 or 12 if he plays healthy and is able to gel with the camaraderie with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. But this whole thing, B, me and you've been talking about this for weeks. The line's got to improve. If
Yeah.
the line's not right, I don't care who they run. They could run Patrick Mahomes out there at freaking quarterback. He's going to get mauled if you don't have offensive line. So this whole thing depends on the improvement of our young offensive line that we have in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I like I said, I think it all hinges on the line. But I was surprised they didn't pick one yesterday. Not necessarily to be the starter, but hell, you don't know. We took Mason McCormick last year in the 4th round, and nobody thought he was going to be the starter. They drafted him as a developmental piece, and he ended up starting 14 games because he
Yeah.
got thrust into a situation when James Daniels got hurt. So
Mhm.
I don't know. A lot of people look. There's no doubt. Mason McCormick hit a wall last year. He hit that rookie wall. He fell off. His technique wasn't good all year long, but hopefully, with a little bit of work and him understanding what National Football League is all about, he can take a step forward. I think it's him and Broderick. If those
Mhm.
guys take steps forward for the Steelers' offensive line, we got something, fellas.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
something.
we do. Yeah.
Moving on here.